The first time Odin unleashed his divine weapon Gungnir on the Ragnarok world, and his insane rise to supreme god of the Norse pantheon. A monster who wants absolute destruction and is destroying Kentucky in every regard when it comes to Ragnarok round 12 so far. The magic spear Gungnir has just pierced right through Kentucky, where this is revealed about the divine weapon. Once thrusted, there is nothing it cannot pierce, and once thrown, there is no target it will miss. Truly the greatest, most supreme divine weapon. Absolutely wild statements for this divine weapon. A lot of people have been waiting to see its true power, and one-sided domination in the fight against Kentucky so far. Bro is giving it everything he has. Right after getting destroyed by Odin's magic-based ability, he's preparing for the next clash, which as a response, Odin seems to be enhancing Gungnir with further enchantments or magic, thrusting his spear directly at Kentucky, who outright reveals that it's insanely fast and heavy, but manages to actually send it flying out of Odin's arm. But looking at bro's face here, that was not an easy task. Assuming that his divine opponent is now open, swinging his Giga Axe, where he is pierced from behind by Gungnir that gets this insane lore drop about it. Doing, as we see here, major damage, blood's coming from his torso, and he's also coughing up blood. Humanity's warrior is getting cooked right now, with the divine weapon returning to Odin's arm as bro is ready to destroy everything. In which we can say right now, Odin is not disappointing when it comes to his power, and is just getting more arguments of being the strongest character the Ragnarok series has ever known. But throughout today's video, I'll be breaking down the true lore revealed about Odin, his rise to supreme god status, and absolutely everything you need to know about this overpowered divine weapon, alongside what may actually be coming next for our boy Kentucky, someone who so far hasn't been getting the best treatment after his introduction and arrival to the arena, getting dominated in the fight so far. But since he's somehow connected to the people of Gungnir and the primordial gods, when we get his upcoming flashback, it's probably going to be interconnected with Odin somehow, and that's where the fight is truly going to change up. With it likely being the case that regardless of how gruesome this damage actually looks, Kentucky is probably going to be fine, and looking at his build, him being a durability, a tanky monster that's going to keep going is pretty much a guarantee. We are still very early on for Ragnarok round 12, and I won't be surprised if it ends up lasting the entire 2026. But if you haven't already, make sure to join the Mysterious Weeb Discord server. The chapter links for chapter 114 and the latest Apocalypse of the Gods chapter have been posted, free to join, 5 years running strong, link in the description or probably in the pinned comment. Let's break down everything. And when it comes to his divine spear, you could say out of all the divine weapons we've seen throughout the series, Gungnir alongside Thor's hammer were the two most hyped by the fandom, the most anticipated, with there still being a very good argument to this day that Thor's hammer is the strongest divine weapon we have in this universe, with his gloves being confirmed as created by Gungnir. Likewise with the original version of Gungnir Odin was given when he was a child, created by Gungnir and from the World Tree. So these two Norse gods indeed wield overpowered divine weapons, and the first time we saw Odin use it was during his Buddha interaction, where we see him raging out, summoning it from his hand like this, then slamming it on the ground as the entire hallway begins to shatter, forcing Buddha to use his future vision to actually avoid it. Then Odin proceeds to actually take the Enlightened One's life with the next attack. However, that's where we have Beelzebub pull up and clash with Odin's Gungnir with his own divine weapon, something that is highlighted as a stalemate, or Beelzebub pretty much parrying the attack. His divine weapon, as we know, was given to him by Hades and more so enhances his base abilities, meaning this doesn't necessarily mean it's as strong as Odin's weapon, but overall power in this situation, they were equal. Then as Odin begins to crash out more, his goal has been adjusted. He now wants to take out both Buddha and Beelzebub with his own power. We see Gungnir prepare for another attack. This time a black-like aura is surrounding it. That's where he was stopped by Thor, concluding this whole interaction with the arrival of many others as well. Then the next time we see Odin pull out Gungnir was during the very start of round 12 after Kentucky's walkout. Odin is flying down to the arena, already having Gungnir summoned. Bro is ready for business. Then us getting some lore about this weapon. It's claimed that anything that faces the end of his spear will surely be destroyed, wielding the legendary demon spear Gungnir. He swept through battlefields, teaming with soldiers as if commanding a godless wasteland, which means he would massacre entire armies with this spear, followed by him entering his battle form and the face-off beginning. The demon spear Gungnir versus Kentucky's divine axe amplified by his Valkyrie. Something which begins with Kentucky amplifying his power and preparing for the first attack, something also connecting to the people of Gungnir and how Kentucky actually has primordial god god blood, in which he clashes with the Gungnir spear and doesn't manage to break through Odin's defense, who counters with some form of magic, not even needing to use the true power of his spear at this point, truly highlighting that Record of Ragnarok's Odin is not disappointing when it comes to his overall power. Alongside this divine weapon, a lot of people have been waiting to see its full extent. But my original theory remains true. I still believe at some point during this battle, Kintoki is going to actually destroy Gungnir, forcing Odin to use his primordial god treasures, or as it's claimed in the story, the treasures of calamity. That being the sword Gram wielded by the original Yggdrasil version of Odin, this item wielded by Chaos, the headpiece of Satan, which I have no idea what it's going to do, and this thing from Ymir. Something that is without a doubt going to make Odin even more overpowered than Gungnir, that's for sure, considering what these gods were recognized of before they were sealed. But Gram is something that has already highlighted as wielding monstrous power, and when Odin enters a state like this as we've seen him in the current day, you know we've potentially entered the final stage of this fight, with Kintoki's flashback without a doubt being required considering his lackluster or unlucky performance against this overpowered supreme god, who seems to have his flashback concluded right now, so let's break it down. After these nameless primordial bozos attacked Velk from behind, they begin destroying all the Golnir people, the later generations, as it's confirmed that this old man is the last surviving direct disciple of Golnir himself, where we see this item given to Odin, the original version of Gungnir, is actually what protects him throughout the situation of his village being destroyed by these bozos, in which they believe they are successful in taking out everyone and actually combine the last of their power to destroy everything that remains, in which we see all of their bodies cracking. They are seconds away from destruction, until they realize that Velk, the kid that led them to the village and the one they first attacked, seems to be still alive and being protected by an item created by Golnir. This is Gungnir, and proceed to chase after him. However, their energy, their life force is no more, disappearing from existence before they can finish off the one character who's actually aware of the real history still alive in the Record of Ragnarok world at this point. Wild stuff, and further hype for this divine weapon, which does highlight that Velk's crash out and rise to his current self is kinda warranted when you note what these random primordial gods from his perspective did to his friends, his family, his people, for seemingly no reason he can understand apart from passing down the real history of the world. He was innocent, likewise with all the other people of Golnir, where he tries to spread the real history of the world. However, he's very much viewed as a weirdo and outsider. Similar vibes to Beelzebub's flashback, where Bro begins to crash out to an insane degree and become the Lord of Madness, the Lord of Rage, wanting to bring about the destruction of the world and erase it all. The scene where he first turned Gungnir into the Divine Spear, which is absolutely sick, and does highlight that Velk, even before finding the remains of the sword Gram and seemingly coming in contact with the primordial god Odin, had the same plan and goal at this point. That's why it's described as him being guided to it, some type of destiny. They both want the same thing. The original Odin wanted the destruction of everything, all the lesser gods, and Velk, after going through this tragedy, wanted to erase everything due to what was done to him and his people. These two mindsets have combined. The current version of Odin, who rose from a nameless god to a supreme god of an entire pantheon, wants to resurrect the Yggdrasil so he can bring about the destruction of the universe, that being humanity and of course all the gods as well, pure evil after what was done to him. However, it's still possible that the primordial version of Odin did take control and make him more evil in a sense, an aspect that could play a part in the later aspects of this round, or when we do get Kintoki's flashback that provides more interconnected stuff, as he somehow knows the real history of the world, the people of Golnir, and also somehow wields primordial god blood. So expect more flashbacks for Odin himself, and of course the Kintoki one. But based on what the current version of Odin has demonstrated, his arguments for potentially being the strongest god or character in the Record of Ragnarok world are indeed growing. Number 1 or number 2 is pretty much guaranteed at this point. And hopefully Kintoki can pick up the fight after we get more revealed about him, as it isn't looking too good at the current minute.